Hi, welcome back. Welcome to my channel. I'm Lisa. Today I'm going to take a bit of a detour from our classic home and lifestyle topics to talk about something near and dear to my heart. After all, our home life has everything to do with the people that we live with and the home that we share. Um, it took me quite some time to find Tommy. At a certain point, when I was in my early 50s, I created a strategy, and it's a strategy that I've shared with others, and I can't wait to share with you. So let's go ahead and get started. Just a little background. I did online dating for 11 years on and off in the years that I was single. And I really didn't have a strategy. I was enjoying myself. I was meeting interesting people and some really wonderful, wonderful people. And yet there were some things that were missing. And then when I would go online or Google, go on YouTube, read articles, I really didn't have the kind of advice that I think I needed. So let's just go ahead and dive in. But one of the mistakes that I made was I didn't really confront my unbelief. And when I do talk to singles, I realize that really is like the most fundamental thing is you really don't believe that the person who would really be great to share your life with exists. And so belief is always the most fundamental thing. For instance, if you really don't believe that not the fantasy person, but the real person, the person that you want to share your life with, if you don't believe they exist, you're going to aim lower than you normally would if you believe that they exist. Challenging our doubts is such a big deal. When we realize whatever doubt we have, those are just things that we're saying to ourselves. They're just words, but sometimes we live into them as if that's reality. And the reality is you're looking for one person to share your life with, if that is your goal, is that one person, whether it's marriage or having a dear friend, whatever the end objective is that you have, you're having faith in that person means you're holding a place for that person. It's like finding a needle in the haystack. When I realized I was looking for a needle in a haystack, I realized I was maybe going to have to sort through a lot of hay. And I'm not saying that lots and lots of people are hay. I'm just saying that you're looking for that very one specific person. So you don't want to waste your time and your energy going down the rabbit hole and getting to know people that really aren't that person. So and really challenging those doubts and realizing that there is no truth to a doubt. A doubt is just as much a belief as believing that something could happen. They're both just beliefs. So choosing to believe is just, that's how we all, if we want to have some level of sanity, that really is the best way to live. After we challenge our negative beliefs and move into the positive, the next thing I believe are what I call the trifecta, which is values, interests, and attraction. And I do believe that your needle in the haystack needs to have the trifecta because we know what 2 out of 3 is, and 2 out of 3 isn't great, but 3 out of 3 is awesome. Life and relationships are challenging enough without having, I think, first and foremost, almost aligned shared values, because at the end of the day, if you don't share values, you're just going to constantly be clashing. But even more so, which I learned the hard way, is that your person doesn't really understand you because you have a completely different perspective. Sometimes it's like speaking Mandarin Chinese. If you have completely alternate or differing values, at the core of our very being are our values. The problem is we tend to lead with attraction, and attraction is huge. We lead with attraction, and then we get excited because we share some interests. We invest our time and energy in an attractive person that shares some interests, and then we down the road realize there are differing values, and then it just kind of dissolves, or it just doesn't have legs. Of course, attraction matters, but I don't think it ends up being the absolute end all be all most important thing, because we're just looking at profile pictures after all, if this is online or if you're out and about or you're being introduced. Attraction is multifaceted. Attraction has to do with, when you really get to know someone, it has to do with their personality. There's a lot more that goes into it than just raw looks. And we all know people who look super attractive and then they start talking and then not so much. So, but of those we find attractive, then we want to have those shared values and a shared interest, because of course, when you're having a conversation with somebody, when you do share values, it's vibrant. And then when you find that you have some other mutually shared interests or hobbies, that gets exciting. So I think it's doing it the other way around, not leading with attraction, but keeping it in there as part of the trifecta, which leads me to the third most important thing, I think, strategy, is to not limit the idea of who would be attractive, because sometimes we get an idea in our head of like someone on TV that we think is attractive, or we like a particular color of hair or eyes or stature. To me, I learned that I think that was very limiting. And I did do that for a while, and it just didn't work that well. When I switched my strategy to lead with values and interests, I was much more open to all different types of men, and that really made a difference. Which leads me to my fourth strategy, which is fantasy versus reality. Again, we all live in our head. We create images and ideas here. But when we really do get out and start meeting people and dating, we realize that we're dealing just in reality, and we're all fallible. Everybody's fallible. So what then is the expectation within the fallible, I would say? And that is sitting down and creating non-negotiables when it comes to dysfunction. What are non-negotiables versus what can I handle, or what am I willing to manage in the area of fallibility? And I'm not going to say what those are for you. I had to get very clear on what those were for me. And I think the biggest point about the 4 points that I've made up to this point, my 4 strategies, is that I created very firm boundaries around those, and I did not deter. And sometimes that was hard, but that's what worked for me. And I needed that, because I think I'm a very open person, and I'm a very compassionate person. So I needed that. So the 5th strategy is, if it is online, is creating a profile. And your pictures say everything about you. And so they need to be updated, and absolutely paint a picture of who you actually are. This kind of goes back to my initial point, is knowing exactly who you are. And I think sometimes it's just easy to feel insecure and want to portray something other than the absolute, genuine, real self. But if we can't do that from the beginning, then we're working backwards. And that has to do with knowing exactly who you are, what you love, what you value, and standing in that, having the courage to stand in that truth. Because we live in a world right now where that can be hard to state exactly who you are, because someone might very much disagree with that. Um, and but what else would there be other than just being exactly who you are? And then the other thing is creating within your profile, being clear on what it is that you want out of life. And again, I'm not here to tell anybody what they want out of life or who they are. But what I'm saying is, if you're looking, if someday you can imagine yourself being married, if you can imagine yourself living with someone, if you're looking just for a companion or a friend, to state as such, and then to find someone who lines up in that way. Now to get into the nitty gritty of actually meeting somebody online and then deciding to meet. Once you have really whittled down the choices of the potential people you're willing to meet, early on, I would accept a dinner invitation just because somebody offered it to me. And that was a lot of fun. But I was looking for something more serious. I wanted to share my life with somebody. And when I got serious, I would only meet men for coffee or tea in the daytime and not invest too much of my time or their time over dinner, because oftentimes you'll meet somebody and within 2 minutes, you know if it's somebody that you'd like to spend more time with. And if you do, then you can go on, if you both agree, oh gosh, let's just keep hanging out. And then an afternoon coffee or tea can end up into a dinner. But oftentimes it would not. And then there is a way to text, if you've developed a texting form of communication, to text a nice message to say, oh my gosh, it was so great meeting you. You're such a blank person, a great person, or really intelligent, or whatever it is that you admire in them. However, I don't see this being a match. Now, I haven't been online dating since 2018. So I know there are lots of apps. I'm speaking specifically in terms of like online dating, like Match.com. I think these strategies probably work on the other apps, possibly. If you can't see somebody else's values or what they believe in, I personally, even if you're a young person watching this, if you're in your 20s or 30s, I'd steer clear of those, because if that's just based on looks, I mean, that's wasting time meeting somebody because you like the way they look. You have no idea what kind of a person you're getting. So anyway, I think that is the best way, if you're serious about finding someone to share your life with, to minimize the amount of time and energy you put into actually meeting people. And last but not least, I think especially as women, but I think men too, you guys, if you happen to be watching this, our little egos get involved. We get hurt feelings if somebody doesn't want to see us again. So I think developing a little thicker skin around the idea that when you put yourself out into the world to meet random people, that what are the chances that you're really it's going to be that person? So Tommy jokes that he's number 152, my 152, because I really did a lot of kind of speed dating before I settled on Tommy. And I mean, it wasn't hard. It was like I found my person in Tommy and I just knew. And it didn't mean that I didn't meet amazing people before that. And it goes both ways. So a little thicker skin, there is no reward without risk. So we risk our little ego, but that's all it is. Nobody determines our worth. No one determines our worth if they want to see us or not see us, or if they want to meet us. People can be jerks. It happened to me. You can actually intersect with somebody that turns out to be an absolute jerk, but it's not personal. It's going to happen. Just it does happen. If you've been online dating, then you know it happens. It's wise to not take it personally. Even though I'm married now, I spent years dating and being single. I fully understand how hard it is. I still have friends. I've helped my daughters through the struggles of dating, and one daughter has found her husband now. My other has not. So I totally get this. Friends, it's tough. It's tough out there, but I believe that your person is out there. They're looking for you too. And so I would just encourage you to hold your belief, keep your faith, strategize, use your time and energy really well so that you can get there faster. Because I've been there and I care so much that you find your person, because if you don't want to be alone, there's no reason to be alone. And I believe for you, because there were times I just gave up. And I remember a time when I was with my mom and I really hit the bottom. I just said, I just think this is not going to work for me. She was so kind. She was there for me. She held the belief for me. I hold the belief for you.